and welcome to this edition of FYI. I'm Elaine Chang-Baxter. I'm the Director of Partnerships for Montgomery County Public Schools. With us video conferencing today is Dr. Jack Smith, our Superintendent of Schools. Welcome, Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Elaine. I hope everything is well with you.
Thank you, and I hope as well with you. You described the past couple of weeks working with our community as being running very fast in the dark. What do you feel has been some of the biggest challenges for our school system in making this massive paradigm shift?
Well, I think that clearly the biggest challenge has been that we're a face-to-face organization, that 166,000 students and many family members and parents walk in our buildings every day and we talk face-to-face. Of course, we use digital tools, but we were in no way prepared to launch a pre-K to 12, every grade level, every subject area, online learning platform. And we spent 2 weeks doing that. The 2 weeks before that, we spent gathering resources to provide to families during the emergency closure. And so clearly at the core of our work is learning and teaching, and all of that's had to shift in the last 3 weeks.
The good news is that we've got great staff that are very creative and very innovative, and I feel that they've all jumped in with their great ideas and helping us move forward.
Absolutely, they've been
Yes.
amazing. They really have, and the staff, teachers, teacher leaders, school administrators, central office folks, and our support professionals, many of whom are working on the front line of distributing
Yes.
Chromebooks, meals, making sure everything is getting done in our buildings, just keeping the mail moving. For example, the paper mail is a part of this. There are so many things that all of us, every single one of us in the society, we have to think differently about now than we did just 1 month ago.
Right, and I feel like there's nothing that our school system colleagues can't solve. It's just we need the time to solve it, but I don't think there's anything that we can't solve together.
I agree. It's just going to take the time, and the unknown here is how long this will last. And that, of course, is always on everyone's mind across the entire county, state, nation, and world.
We have provided nearly 550,000 meals. It's such a large number, 550,000 meals at 41 different sites just in the past couple of weeks. Why is this so crucial to maintain for our community, even though schools are closed?
Well, I think that it's easy to say, for me to say numbers, and so I'm going to say some, but then I want to talk about what those numbers mean. That we have over a third of our students who received free and reduced meal service. That's almost 60,000 students. We have another percentage of kids who don't receive that service, but we know they have less than what's necessary in their daily life and their weekly life. So first of all, it's just fundamentally, morally the right thing to do when you can do it. And secondly, students learn better and do better and feel better when they know that there's going to be something for them to eat every day. And so this has been a Herculean effort, but it's absolutely essential. And I would just say to the families out there, one of whom wrote to me 2 weeks ago and said, so you've been the hunger superintendent, when are you going to be the learning superintendent? That's pretty much a quote. So I'm going to say to that person and everyone else that we are always the learning organization, MCPS, and we're also the well-being organization, that we take care of the children in our care to the degree that we can and to the best of our ability. And that's critical, and it speaks volumes about a community when they're not concerned about every child, every teenager in that community.
Right, and we know when kids aren't eating, they're not learning. So
That's
we've
right.
got to make sure that, I mean, these are just basic needs. And I would invite any restaurants that may be watching, if they're offering any discounts or opportunities for students to get some food. I know one set up an account and students can go through the drive-through and pick up some meals at a discount that we're funding behind the scenes. I would invite any of those restaurants that may be watching to just reach out to my office, and we'll see if we can get something set up to help support our students and families. We provided about
so many people have stepped up. So while the negative things have happened, the vast majority of people have been so positive and so supportive and really desiring to help everyone, because it's starting to be cliche, but think about it. There's not a single person in our entire county who isn't in exactly the same circumstance with what's going on in the world around us. The difference is our personal circumstance and what we have available to us, the support systems, the resources. That's where the difference comes. But we're all trapped inside right now, so we're all in this together.
We are. And one of the things that I love about Montgomery County, I've always loved, is that we have so many generous people who get it, who have a great heart. So again, I invite anybody who wants to help support, just reach out to my office and we'll see what we can make happen, given the parameters of essential employees, and everybody keeping themselves safe. Dr. Smith, we distributed about 45,000 Chromebooks in the recent weeks, and we're going to move on to this virtual online learning. What are some additional ways that Montgomery County Public Schools may be helping to eliminate this technology gap crisis?
Well, we're certainly making those Chromebooks available to families who need them. And by need, what we're talking about is if you don't have devices in your home, or if you have one device, an adult and two kids all who are trying to share that device. So whatever that level of need is, we want to do our best to respond. We're also responding with connectivity responses with some of our internet companies and the way we place devices in various places in the community and how we work with some communities to get devices in that apartment complex or in that neighborhood where there's very little connectivity. So we're doing a lot of different things around connectivity on behalf of students, and we'll continue doing that this week. We're also going to launch an ongoing paper packet initiative. A few parents have written to me and said, just give me paper. And I don't know if they have connectivity or not, but they prefer paper. Other parents have written and said, I need connectivity right now because it's not enough. So we're trying to meet the needs and the various circumstances of people as we work through this challenge around continuing learning to the greatest degree possible.
Well, I also think that's great that despite the challenges that are going on, you and your team are listening to the community, listening to feedback, and being very flexible and nimble with how we're going to proceed moving forward, assuming that we're going to be, in this situation for weeks to come or months to come.
Absolutely. Right now, the governor's order ends on Friday, April 24th. That doesn't seem likely given that we're in a 30-day shutdown right now in the country, but that's for the governor to decide. Right now, we're headed toward April 24th, and we're simultaneously planning for a longer period of time if that becomes the direction from the governor and the state superintendent.
So, and by the way, you're in conversation with other superintendents, getting ideas also, correct?
Yes, we talk with the state superintendent and all 24 school systems multiple times each week and share information, share ways of doing business, share resources like applications and digitally created forms, all sorts of things. And that's been very helpful. And everyone should be working together on behalf of the about 1 million students in Maryland. And they range from being in real poverty to having tremendous resources. They range from, pre-K age 3 to 18, 19, 20-year-olds at the end of their public school career. They range from students in the most accelerated programs to students who get real significant special services. So it's a big world out there, and we're all working together to try to create what we can on behalf of that world of students.
Again, I think we just have great minds working together, and we'll get through this together.
That's right.
So last week, we spent time as a school system rolling out the continuity of learning plan, re-engaging with students. What would you advise parents, staff, community, grandparents right now as we move forward?
Well, I think you just named it in terms of all of those individuals plus many others. We're all doing this together and trying to figure out how it works. And so I would say it's important for all of us to be patient, to be thoughtful, to be reasonable, that when we feel frustrated and anxious, that we not strike out at others, that instead, our children, our fellow family members, our relatives on the phone, that we breathe deeply, that we find some space where we can say it. And if we need to, we can pick up the phone and call a trusted friend or family member and really vent to them and then take a deep breath and go back. We all have to do that sometimes, but it's so important that we not do things right now that we'll regret later because we've damaged relationships with our students, with our family members, with our neighbors, with anybody else that's engaged. And I would say that, look and see what works best for you, because our 14,000 teachers, many of them have children. Our 24,000 employees, many of them have elderly parents that they're responsible to care for. We have all sorts of circumstances in the school system, just like we do in the community. And so my advice would be take advantage of what's out there in the world, take advantage of what's provided, contact your school principal, contact your child's teacher, and start with a question instead of a statement in all capital letters with multiple exclamation marks at the end. And let's just continue to work through this together and until it ends, and it will end. I'm confident of that, and we need to keep people as safe as possible until it does.
Right. And I would also encourage family members to be creative with each other.
Yes.
I'm going to offer an hour to connect with one of my nieces and maybe do some homework with her or just connect with her to take some pressure off of my brother, to spend the time feeling like he also always has to be on. And when I interviewed Dr. Connolly, our Director of Psychological Services, there are no mistakes right now. Everyone's trying to figure this out. And so just give yourself some room there are no mistakes, breathe, think of an idea, try it. If it doesn't work, try a different idea, ask some friends and relatives again, what are you doing? And just get those good ideas going. But we'll get through this together, and people just need to stay positive and, again, not make sure that they're getting upset themselves, and just, stepping away and asking someone else to jump in if possible.
That's absolutely right. There are over 1 million people in Montgomery County, and everyone has opinions and perspectives and thoughts, and those are all valuable and important. However, I have to remember that my opinion and my thought is not the only thought on a subject, that there are lots of ways of thinking about it. And the more that we work together, the more we will use the collective understanding, the collective experience of everyone, so that we can all move through this successfully.
Right. And hopefully people are sharing those great ideas with each other.
Yes.
What should students and parents know about the grading and reporting process during this distance learning period?
Well, we've received literally thousands of messages. I try to read every one that I get, and then I forward it on to staff or whatever needs to happen with it, so that we do gather all those perspectives. And, we have everything. I got a message a day or two ago that said, give everyone an A for the rest of the year. Other people want pass-fail. Other people want regular grading and really rigorous learning for their children every day. The number of opinions is as varied and as many as there are human beings out there thinking about this right now. So what I will say is we're going to finish third marking period next week, and we'll assign grades. But we're looking at an alternative system for assigning those grades so that we err on the side of the student. Because many students, we had about 9 days of school left in third marking period when the shutdown came, and then a day of planning and grading, a shortened day there. And so many students had things that were assigned in those 9 days that then teachers started collecting, reviewing, talking with the students about this past week. They'll do more of that this week. But clearly, this is a time when we should err on the side of the students. We should allow them to do what they need to do to be successful in third marking period. And simultaneously, we're creating a way to think about fourth marking period. And it's not just me or 2 or 3 people sitting in an office. We're literally talking to hundreds of educators, parents across the system about what makes the most sense. We have a tremendous number of advisory groups for parents in the system, and we're going to continue to tap into all of them and ask them their thoughts. I've got multiple phone conferences this week with them where I will hear their thoughts, and then we'll create something for fourth marking period that will, hopefully the goal is to motivate our students and keep them engaged and give them what what they should receive, but to err on the side of the student, to make sure that it benefits the student, because this is not the time to, slap our hand on the desk and say, well, we've got to be accountable because I didn't get a digital paper from Jack. Well, Jack may not have a single device in his home. Jack may not understand how this is working. Jack may not have family support. All of those things, we got to figure that out. So as I said a minute ago, got 1 million people in the county, got 166,000 students. We're going to figure out a way for fourth marking period to the greatest degree possible, meet the needs of all of those individuals.
Again, and I think this idea of being flexible and nimble, we can't go wrong when we err on the side of the student. And like we do normally when we're in the buildings, we're going to cater what we need to do for each student to make sure that they're successful.
That's right.
So much of teaching and learning is built on relationships, student and teacher relationships, teacher and parent relationships. What are some ways that our school system is still trying to maintain all of these wonderful relationships that we've set up?
Well, we're using the digital world like you and I are right now. We're using the telephone world. We're using the TV world. We're using the paper world. And we continue, we're in phase 1 of this continuity of learning. We'll move into phase 2 in the next couple of weeks as third marking periods to continue to build and build and build out the number of different ways that we connect. And many of our staff members who work with families and students every day in the school building and in the community have been ramping up to connect with them. Some were able to do it last week, but more of them will do it this week. By telephone, over the computer, and we haven't really explored this a lot yet, but even we may, depending on how long this goes on, need to do it through the mail service. And what happens, with the US Post, many things that we've taken for granted or even have lost their big followings in the past are all of a sudden becoming much more important to us in the way we think about how we do this. And so every avenue available to us is how we want to continue to maintain the relationships and create a learning experience for students to the greatest degree possible.
And I think we should probably also share that all staff are back working, they're reading their emails, we have phone forwarding opportunities, and so parents can feel free to reach out to their schools, their teachers. We're all back working and we can all be responsive, and if we don't know the answer to a question, we'll make sure we find someone that can help support that particular family or that student.
Excellent point. People don't all understand, but we were actually emergency closed for 2 weeks. That was a direction from the state superintendent. Everyone came back to work in a very strange way last Monday in terms of this. And on that same Monday, the governor went on television and gave us even more direction about tightening down our interactions face to face. And so we're all just trying to figure this out, but we're all back working together on behalf of our community, our schools, and our students. And so reach out to your principal, reach out to your teacher, reach out to the central office. If we can direct your email or your question somewhere, we'll do it and get back to you.
Right, our psychological services, our parent community coordinators, our people personnel workers, they're all back. Everybody's back and working, so we're back fully as a system. And so there are a lot of ways that parents and students can reach out to us. What message would you like to send to all of our students across the school system at this time, any of them that watch this video?
You are amazing. I've actually gotten quite a number of messages from students. And the interesting thing about the messages from students that I've gotten, some are offering advice and suggestions. Some are just saying, we appreciate what the school system's doing. Thank you so much. Some are worried about things. They've all been civil. They've all been decent and respectful and polite in the same way that I should talk to others. That's how the students have been talking to us as a school system and to me. And I cannot tell you, I got a really, really nice message from a senior this morning that said, I'm so worried about all of this, but I know you guys are trying. And I just want to say I appreciate that you're trying.
I think all these great messages from students and parents help keep us driven behind the scenes as we work through supporting the whole school system virtually. and by
Absolutely.
paper and by mail and all these other ideas that are coming up. And I'm glad you had mentioned that we're in phase 1 and there are going to be several phases. We didn't have all the answers because we were in an emergency shutdown, and now we're working through all of our ideas to figure out how we can phase and manage this large school system.
That's right.
So we'll close on the final question. With our senior class, or class of 2020, they certainly have understandable concerns. Is there anything that you want to say in particular to our senior class?
Sure. It's my hope, and I do believe that it's possible, that sometime in May we'll get to go back into school buildings. That's my hope. I have no reason now to have that answer, and I don't know that answer. But I know that, just a month ago, schools had not even been closed for the emergency closure. So what the next month brings is going to be really important. And so I would just say that we all need to stay tuned. We need to breathe deeply. We need to be respectful and kind and helpful to one another. And I'd say to the seniors, this is a time to stay engaged. You have a lot of time on your hands right now. Don't go out and play soccer in a park with 30 people. Do what's been asked, because you're keeping yourself and others safe. And in the time you have on your hands, stay engaged with your teachers, with your school, and let's just work together and hope and believe that this will all end before we get to some of those biggest, most important moments like graduation and those things. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're simultaneously planning to do them, and we're planning for what we can do if we can't do it in the traditional way. We're planning for all of that. And as the days move forward, we'll engage with more and more people and say, this is what it looks like it's going to be now. What are your thoughts? How do you think this should look? And, this is a really important part of your life. It's not your whole life. And that sounds, I don't want to dismiss it because it's hard, but it's not your whole life. And your life is going to have so many different bends in the pathway, so many different twists and turns. And so we're just going to have to work together to make this as good as it can possibly be and hope for the very best in terms of how quickly it's over.
Well, thank you for that message to the senior class of 2020. And I think I want to close by saying and emphasizing again to our community that all staff are working. It's very evident that central office staff are listening to parents and student voices, bubbling up what we say are the best ideas, being student-centered and focused so we can figure out how to get through this together. So we're all in this together is what you'd like to say.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Smith, for joining the show. We know that you're super busy, so we really appreciate you coming on and carving out some time to be on the show.
Elaine, stay safe, take care, and all the best to your family and you.
Thank you, and to you as well. I'm Elaine Chang-Baxter. I'm the Director of Partnerships for Montgomery County Public Schools. Join us next time on FYI.